another day of Career Alive. So happy to be here with you, Anna.
Yes, me too. I'm so happy. And yeah, let's start with, introductions and then we're going to ask you guys where are you tuning in from. So, my name is Anna. I'm a bilingual career strategist and certified HR professional. I help career changers and people seeking human resources and business support roles. I help people become their chief career officers. So I'm originally from Brazil and I've been to the US for many, many years. Today, am actually not tuning in from North Carolina, where I live. I'm tuning in from Maryland. So if there's anyone from Maryland, say hello to me. We are in a road trip visiting family. That's why you see a different background here. So, yeah, how about you, Teresa?
I love that you're even like you're traveling, Anna, and you're still here today. So I absolutely love that. And thank
Yeah,
you so much for taking the 30 minutes out of your week off traveling and seeing your family to be here. So thank you. Thank you.
sure.
I'm Teresa. I'm originally from Germany, but have been living in Hawaii for the last 13 years. And my passion is helping women find fulfilling and meaningful careers. And what I do is I guide women in the discovery of what they're meant to do and empower them to find a fulfilling career. And I already see some people tuning in. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Dahlia. Thank you so much for joining us today. And today's topic is tell me about yourself. That is like a big interview question that you pretty much get in every interview, but not just in interviews, also in networking conversations. It's usually the first thing that people ask in some version. Tell me about yourself.
Mhm.
And in an interview, it really sets the stage for the rest of the interview because it's often the first question asked and it can be a make or break. At the end of that question, the interviewer is either like, oh, wow, I want to know more about him or her. Or the interviewer is like, oh, okay, let's just get through this next 20 minutes of questions and move on to the next candidate. So it really is a big, a very, very important to prepare well for that question and know what you're going to be saying so that you set the stage right for the entire interview.
Mhm.
So we're going to talk about what to do and how to answer this question today. But first, I'll share a story of what not to do because you don't want to do what I did once. So that was about 6 or 7 years ago. I was an HR generalist and I was interviewing for a generalist manager position, which would have been a really big promotion. I was excited for that role and I thought I'm ready for it and prepared like crazy for that interview. So I wrote down before the interview all the reasons why they should hire me and tell me about yourself, what's great about me. And then I took I highlighted some words that I memorized and I had like this perfect answer ready to go. So interview starts and they ask me some version of tell me about yourself. And I'm like, okay, ready. Here comes my perfect answer. And I start talking and I tell them everything and every single reason why they should hire me. And then 10 minutes into my answer, the other interviewers let me know that my time to answer that question is up. And I wasn't even halfway through my answer. So, needless to say, I did not get this position, and the rest of the interview did not go well. Um, so, that is my story of how to not answer this question. Of course, we want to share everything great about us, but we also need to be mindful that we don't talk for 10 or more minutes in that question.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever heard or seen of similar examples, Anna.
Yeah. Yeah, in the beginning, my first interview was, many years ago here, in the US, 2012 actually. And I remember having no idea what to say. Tell me about yourself. This is what I think I said, that I was from Brazil and then told my whole story, and then start talking about why I was in the US and all these different things. That's not what they want to know. Even because some of these questions, like personal information in the United States, there are certain questions that are illegal. I mean, if you want to share, that's on you. But a recruiter can ask you certain things, for example, in the interview, if you are a citizen, if you have a family, and all these other, where are you from, and all these other personal things about you. So I love, the comments. Keep the comments going. Tell us where you're tuning in from, and if you have, any stories or anything, we're here. We would love to hear, what you have.
Thanks, Melissa. We
Teresa,
appreciate you.
Teresa, Dalia, Nicole. Yeah, we love seeing you here. And hi, Dalia. Yeah, I'm in Maryland and I used to live around the Washington, D.C. area. So yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk. But yeah, what I want to do now is I have some notes in front of me, just so you know that if I'm looking, it's just because I have these notes and I want to make sure that I hit everything to help you all. So these are some of the tips of things that you shouldn't say or do when you are answering tell me about yourself. The first one, forget to adapt your responses to the role and employer. You need to remember you are applying to one job and that employer wants one person to fill that position, right? So you need to think about, and if you go to my post today, because I post a framework on how to reply, is a simple framework, but it may be beneficial. And I know Teresa is going to share some template with you all. But think about what you do, talk about some of your accomplishments, and you don't need to share any sort of personal information, and why are you here, like that's another thing. And there are two sentences there to kind of bring you back to the room, like, and this is why I'm here today to discuss X position, just to kind of and we're gonna go over more on how to reply. Another thing you shouldn't do is repeat everything in your resume. Never say, as you can see in my resume, because not everybody is going to read your entire resume. Here's what happens, and it happened to me many times. Sometimes they invite people last minute to sit in the interview. They may not be part of the team, but they want an outside person to come into the interview just to kind of give a sense, what they think about the candidate, even though they may not work directly with that person. It's just, to get different feedback from people, right? So this person may not have looked into your entire resume, but if you are in front of them, they want to learn from you. So, don't you don't need to refer, oh, look into my resume or go over the entire resume, right? So the other thing, don't give your life story, like I was saying, right? There's no
Don't do
need
it.
in some of these questions, like where you're born, if you're a citizen, if you're married, if you own a home. Nobody need to know those things. And like I said, I know in some countries, because yeah, Teresa and I were both from different countries. We know the interviews in certain countries is different. Even resumes, you can put a photo and all these different things, right? But in the United States, I would say in North America in general, they don't usually ask personal questions. So you don't need to share anything like that when you're answering tell me about yourself. The other thing is sometimes we want to like show that we are really into the company. But for example, if the company stands for some controversial topic, you don't need to bring that up even if you agree with them. You don't need to bring that up when you're answering tell me about yourself. So just leave that out of your answer. The other thing is rambling, right? So preparation is key. If you follow some of my posts this week, I talked about preparation. That's a key thing, and it's going to make you feel confident when you walk into that interview. And focus on the job description, who you are, your accomplishments, and how you can help. You need to know these things. No matter the interview that you're going for, you need to know these things: who you are, how you can help, your accomplishments, and find ways to tie those back to the job description. One last thing that I want to say: storytelling matters, right? Good stories, they bring trust and respect to your answer. And they showcase your experience and in a way that shapes the story. So we think about a way that with a couple of sentences you can tell your story. So check out that Teresa is going to share a template later. So those are some of the things that you shouldn't say or do when you're answering this question.
And definitely thank you, Anna. And definitely go and check out Anna's post. I think your post was a perfect framework for tell me about yourself today. And what are the parts that you want to be answering in that question? And I want to bring in Melissa's comment here right now. Thank you so much for sharing that, Melissa. She says, I've been a hiring manager. We had a note for tell me about yourself that says, see what they choose to talk about, life or career. It should be why they are the one that should be hired. That's what you would want to answer in that question. Why should they hire you?
Yeah.
Thanks again, Melissa. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna share my framework, and there are hundreds of different frameworks out there of how to answer that question. There's not just one set way. This is my recommendation, but you always want to find what works for you. So let me share my screen with you. Just a second. Perfect. And as always, if you want this handout, just send me a DM after or send me an email and I'm happy to send it to you. I'll also make sure to write a post about this and put it out there publicly so you have access to this information. So I'm going to zoom in so it's a little bit easier to read. So when I craft a tell me about yourself answer, I go through 5 steps and I'm going to share every single one of those steps with you today. The first step is to state the problem that you will solve in this job. And I like to do that as a question because that turns your answer from a pitch of like telling them how amazing you are into more of a conversation. You're still going to say the same things of how amazing you are, but it's more of a conversational way to start answering that question and less of a pitch. So why I like to start with that is because it shows in one sentence that you get what the position is about. So you read the description, that the job posting, and you know what the problem is that this position is supposed to be solving. It shows that you prepared and that you know what you're talking about. So in this example here, the question that I started with is, do you know how reaching, engaging, and connecting with clients and investors can be challenging for B Corps? So the posting that this answer is tailored to is a B Corp, and the position or the job of that position that's posted is about reaching, engaging, and connecting with clients and investors. So right away, this person shows they know what this job is about. Then, of course, we want to go into a moment of introducing ourselves and sharing our current or last position title, what industry, what experience do we have, and how many years, if that is something you want to share. You do not always have to share your amount of experience, but if you want it, that would be the place to bring it in. So in this example, you can say, for the past 6 years, I have served as the account executive and brand ambassador at XYZ company. Quick and easy introduction in one sentence. And now you want to be very clear about what makes you unique. What is your superpower? What is your personal brand? What do you want to be known for? In her case, and this is one of my clients, she said, I excel at growing a community through winning others over and building thriving relationships. That is her superpower that she brings to that position. Now we need to back that up. We just said that this is for superpower, but now it's time to share an accomplishment that shows that she really can do that. And she said, I expanded a community from 7 to 165 plus residents and increased my company's market share by over 220% within 14 months. So that's a little bit, and you can phrase that, as Anna said, you can expand that a little bit into a story because stories are what people will remember more so than facts. Mm-hmm. And then the last step is, how does this apply to this job? And never forget to also express your passion and excitement for this position. So in this example, we bring it back to what this job is. This opportunity at ABC B Corp caught my attention because I'm passionate about increasing awareness around innovative solutions to the single-use plastic crisis. That's why she's passionate about the company. And with my experience, I'm confident I would make an impact quickly in engaging, connecting, and building relationships with your clients and investors. That's what the position is about and what the position is asking for. And I can't say enough that it's super important to talk about your passion and excitement. When I was a recruiter, that was one of the biggest mistakes I saw candidates do. Of course, you go into an interview and you're nervous and you want to be perfect and give really good answers. And then they forget to actually say that they're excited or passionate about this role, and they come across very dry. And at the end, I wonder, like, do they actually want to work here? I didn't hear any excitement or passion or interest from them. And that can be a really big red flag for a recruiter. So even if you're nervous, make sure that you don't forget to say that you are excited and passionate about this role. And then here, big on the bottom, don't make the mistake that I once did. Keep your answer under 90 seconds. So that is an answer that you want to practice and make sure that it's no longer than 60 to max 90 seconds.
Mhm.
Again, if you would like a copy of this framework, I'm happy to share it with you. Just send me a DM and I will make sure to email it to you. And then I'll hand it back over to Anna to talk a little bit more about the question itself, about tell me about yourself.
Yes, I just want to emphasize the passion for the role, the company between you and another candidate. Usually, what I always say, because yeah, I sat in interviews, and between a candidate that shows passion for the company and the role and another one that they both has very similar backgrounds, they're going to go for the one that is really passionate about the company and the role, because they can see that they can invest in that person wants to grow with the company, right? So yeah, I just want to say that. But yeah, I have some things here that I'm going to talk about. There are multiple ways that recruiters and hiring managers can ask, tell me about yourself. A lot of time, usually this is going to be one of the first questions, but sometimes different hiring teams have different tactics and different ways that they use to ask these questions. So the alternatives that I'm going to give you right now, they depend on the intention of the interviewer. They still want to know about you and what you do and how you can help. That's usually how you answer this question, but here are some of the ways that this question sometimes can be asked in an interview. Walk me through your resume. I got that one a couple of times, and basically, you're not going to go over your entire resume because it's going to take way more than 90 seconds, right? We know that. So, you need to think of ways that, in a concise way, you can say exactly what Teresa showed in the template in a way that ties back, from one job to another, but you're not going to talk about every single task and everything you have ever done, right? Because that's going to take forever. So the other one would be describe the event that led you to your career now. Is the same idea. How did you go from A to Z, right? Like and talk about what kind of accomplishment you had in between. If you had a promotion or something, why did you get that promotion? What did you do to get a promotion? Because sometimes maybe you took in, a big project, or maybe you did something that benefited the entire company. You save money or something along those lines, right? Like it's just some ideas here. Another one is again similar. How did you go from there to here? For example, you started your career as a cashier, and then today you are an HR specialist and you want to, let's say, go for another HR specialist role or an HR generalist role. This is just an example, right? So again, it's another way to say, tell me about yourself, walk me through your career, walk me through your resume. Another alternative. The other one is, why do you do what you do? They want to know kind of the why behind, like, where you are today. It's like, tell me about yourself. So I used to do this, now I'm doing that. It's like, this is a good one sometimes that they might ask for career changers. Why do you do what you do, or why do you want to do this now? So it's another way to ask, tell me about yourself. Or the other one, what are you most proud of professionally or personally? What you're most proud of professionally or personally? Again, it's another way to kind of ask that question, um, but always focus more in the professional side of things. So for me, it was being an immigrant here and finding a way to get back into a corporate, the corporate world, getting a corporate job. For me, like that was my goal when I first moved here. But then I would always cite that was, for me, that was my personal thing, something that I'm really proud of. But I would always tie that back to what I'm doing now and what's going on, why I'm here, kind of thing. The last one is, what have you been working on? Because again, like, if you're not working, they may want to know, what have you been spending your time, right? Yeah, if you have a family, maybe you're taking care of your children, but like, are you learning something? Are you trying to change careers? I mean, they just want to get some sense of some idea. And it's another way of saying, tell me about yourself, right? Because they want you to talk about what you do and why you do it, and if you have any accomplishments and why you're here, right? So those are some of the alternatives that I had for the tell me about yourself question.
Thank you, Anna. And I think that really helps to know it's not always asked in the way of tell me about yourself, but that question can be asked in a multiple of different ways. But you can still go back to the answer that you had prepared before, maybe tailor it a little bit depending what
Yeah.
they're asking in their question. The most common one I see is walk me through your resume. And you never ever want to walk people actually literally through your entire resume.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that. It's not what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Usually they ask that first question of like, I just, as a recruiter or hiring manager, I just came out of another meeting. I had not didn't have any time to prepare this interview. I just get this resume. I have not read it. Tell me who you are. That's
Mhm.
what they really want to know is that first question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then one last thought I want to bring in, and I see all the comments that people are looking for the template. I will make sure to respond later and to get that to everyone. If you have any questions at all for us, just as always, please drop them into the chat. We're happy to answer any questions at all that you have. One question I saw, or Melissa dropped in here, I need to figure out what my superpower is. That one, we had our second career alive was on personal branding. That might be a really helpful video to watch back on, where we talked about the Strengths Finder and the Sparketype assessment, because those two can really help you figure out what you do better than others, what makes you unique, and then give you language to turn that into what is your superpower. So that would be my advice here.
Yeah.
And then
Same.
the last piece of information I want to share is, so you started the interview off on a great note. You gave them a great tell me about yourself answer. So that sets the tone for the entire interview. The second most important part of the interview is the close. And it's so important that you close the interview strong. And I like to tie that last part of the interview back to your tell me about yourself answer to remind them about your superpower and why they want to hire you. So obviously, at the end of the interview, usually they give you the time to ask questions. So you ask your 2 or 3 or 4 questions that you had prepared. And at the end, when there's no more questions on your end and no more questions from the interviewer, you want to close the interview strong. And you can say something like, what I want you, thank you so much for your time. I don't have any more questions at this point, but what I want to leave you with is that I'm confident in my ability to, what did we have here in the example, what I want to leave you with is that I'm confident that my ability to grow a community through winning others over and building thriving relationships will help your company grow. So in the end, you want to bring back a part of the tell me about yourself answer to remind them why they want to hire you. And that is what they're going to take away after the interview. So when they go into the other room and discuss, or when you leave the room and they start discussing the candidate, that last part that you told them, that will stick in their head. And they're like, oh yeah, I remember she said that in the beginning, that she's great at growing community and building relationship. And she did say at the end. So, and that's what we need. So yeah, I think we should hire her.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on this, Anna?
No, I agree. I love like the idea of going back because it's what I said before, right? People, you need to build a connection, you and the especially the hiring manager, right? Like, because sometimes you are interviewed by multiple people, but you want to build that connection, and you want to make sure that you are there, they know why you're there, they know what you can do for them, they know how you can help them. And that's what I want people to take away is that interviews are a two-way street. They are interviewing you because they want to learn more about you, but you are also interviewing the company, right? But you want to make sure that you're also trying to build that connection with the interviewer, because like I said, storytelling builds trust, and people remember you. Like Teresa said, they remember more like the storytelling than the facts. And that's true. So yeah, I agree 100% with that.
Thank you, Anna. And we just got a great question. When they ask about tell me about yourself, should you ask what would you like to know or where to start? So here's my response to that. No, you don't want to ask that. This is your chance to tell them what you want them to know about you.
Hmm. Yeah.
So this is an open-ended question, and you need to be prepared for it, because almost every interview you're gonna get this question, and you can. This is your opportunity to shine and tell them why they should hire you. So don't leave it up to them. So don't ask like, "Oh, what would you like to know?" or "Where should I start?" No, you're ready to answer this question. You tell them why you're the perfect candidate for this role. You tell them that you understand what this job is about. You tell them your back a quick roundup of who you are and your experience. You tell them what your superpower is, back it up as a relevant accomplishment, and then show how this applies to this job and why you're passionate, excited about it. Or what do
Yeah.
you think, Anna?
I agree 100%. It's like interview is your time to shine. I
Yes.
mean, yeah, they have a job to offer, but you're not bragging. Like I said, and I'll say 1 million times, and not just me saying, okay, I didn't come up with this. Personal brand, putting yourself out there and your personal brand, it's not vanity. Like you want to be visible. You want people to know about you. So for the most common interview questions and the alternative answer questions like I gave earlier, you don't need to go back and ask, but do you want to know about this or do you want to know about that? Those usually, like, you go straight to the point. Like you're trying to showcase your accomplishments, what you do, and all these different things. So I agree 100%. So tomorrow my post going to be about when you blank out during the interview. Let's say they ask you an off the beaten path, like a question that you don't really know how to answer. I'm going to give you some tips on how you can do that. Or, if you didn't understand, how you can ask them, in a polite way, if they, can help you understand the question. So check out my post tomorrow about this. But regarding what we're talking about, the tell me about yourself, or walk me through your resume, or how do you go from this to from there to here. You want to have an answer ready for that question, because it's basically the hiring manager or whoever is interviewing you. I apologize, my notes are flying. um, they want to know, what do you do, any accomplishments you want to share, and why you're there, how can you help. That's what they want to know. So you want to make sure that you have some sort of framework to reply to that question.
Thanks, Anna. Totally agree. And I'm excited for your post tomorrow. That's such an important topic to talk about.
Yeah.
And again, definitely go and check out Anna's post today. I think it was such a great way of how to address this question and what the interviewer really wants to know about you. Again, as always, make sure that you connect with both of us. Anna and I are both happy to connect with all of you. If you have further questions, you can always send us a DM. And also, I shared a post today. If you are interested in my coaching program, I'm just starting a group coaching program. So if you're out there and looking for that perfect career for you and figure out what it is that you're meant to do and how do I find a fulfilling career, you can check out my post today, and I share a little bit more about my new coaching program with you in there. And then we're going to be back here next Thursday to talk about values and motivators, right, Anna?
Yes, I can't wait to talk about that one, because what I've seen, like, what I see over and over, and even, when I work with my clients, is people go from job to job with no direction. They don't think about their values, their motivators, the skills they like to use, their strengths, all these different things, right? And they all play a role in the job that you're doing. If you're doing work that doesn't go along with your values and your motivators, you're probably not going to be happy there. That's all I have to say. So I can't wait for next week. Yeah,
Me too.
next
And that's
week.
actually what my post yesterday was about. I shared my
Yes.
story of how I was in a career that didn't align with my values. And it leaves you feeling empty and meaningless and purposeless. So it's really important to know, what do you value, what is important to you in a career, what motivates you to work hard. And we're going to dive into, before I start talking about this topic, we'll dive
I
into that
know.
next Thursday.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about. So
Yes.
next week, next Thursday, around the same time, is for me is 4:30 Eastern. For
In
Teresa
Hawaii,
is,
it's 10:30 a.m.
yes, and I know, we always have the different time zones. So
Yeah.
we would love if you can join us next week around the same time to learn more about values and motivators.
Thanks so much, everyone, for being here today, for joining us for another Career Alive. And we can't wait to see you next week. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.